Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are joining. So in today's video, I am going to be talking all about gourmand fragrances, but specifically ultra gourmand fragrances. These are the most gourmand in my collection. They are what I would class as edible gourmands, some of them ultra realistic, but these are gourmand fragrances. That is it. So if that's your kind of thing, let's jump into the first fragrance. So this first fragrance is the one that actually inspired the concept of this video. I've only had this 2 days, but as soon as I sprayed this one on my skin, I was like, I think this might be the most gourmand fragrance I have in my collection. I remember seeing the notes of this one and I knew I had to sample it. It has pistachio, it has hazelnut, it has almond, there was a cake note, tonka bean, vanilla, I think there's powdery notes too. And I love pistachio as a note in general, but I also love eating pistachios. So I was super curious. Anyway, to me, on my skin, this smells like an almond vanilla sponge cake that's quite syrupy too. It's very, very sweet, very almond heavy, but it does have that cakey vibe too. I don't necessarily perceive a pistachio note as such or a hazelnut note as such, but it's definitely nutty, but most prominent is that almond. And it just smells like almond cake to me, or like almond extract. Very, very sweet. So just a fun fact, my husband doesn't really like gourmand fragrances. He doesn't really like any of the fragrances in my collection that smell ultra realistic. I'm not sure why. I absolutely love those kind of sweet, gourmand, edible type of fragrances. I have to admit though, I don't wear them that often. I feel like they are more suitable for the fall and the winter. But if you are looking for an ultra gourmand that smells like almond vanilla sponge cake, I would definitely check out Mirage Gourmand. The longevity is about 6 to 7 hours and it has a really nice projection and it's got that soft, fluffy almond cake vibe. So yeah, that was Mirage Gourmand. Next up is Jo Malone Ginger Biscuit. Now this was a limited edition that they re-released. I'm not sure if it's still available. Apologies if not, but I had to mention it in this video because to me, this is an ultra realistic gourmand. To me, this just smells like spiced gingerbread cookies and I absolutely adore it. I don't wear it too much because it is limited edition, but this one is so Moorish, so delicious. If you are in the mood for a gingerbread biscuit with some spices, I would definitely try and hunt this one down. If it still is in stock, I will link it down below. But yeah, I had to mention this one in the video because to me, it fits the category so well. Next up is Dora Jany, and it's almost in a similar category to Jo Malone's Ginger Biscuit. Now, the notes are very different, but it gives off a similar vibe in my opinion. Jany is more of a warm apple pie with spices and you get almost a buttery pastry vibe as well. It to me is very, very sweet. And I would perceive this as more being an apple pie before it's been baked. I've explained it like that in previous videos. If you do want a more in-depth review, go and check out some of my other videos on Jany. But to me, in essence, this smells like a warm, delicious, spiced apple pie. So if that is your vibe, definitely check out Jany. I've got a lot of fragrances to get through in today's video. None of these are in-depth reviews, more just recommendations. If you do want more in-depth reviews on any fragrances, please do let me know down below. But Jany is definitely one of the most gourmand fragrances in my collection that is perfect for the fall and the winter. Let's mix it up a little bit. So next up is Gritti Chantilly. Now, as the name would suggest, this smells like chantilly cream, but also with some fruits. And to me, this kind of smells like a really expensive strawberry milkshake. You've got some red fruits in here. There's also a strong melon vibe as well. Think honeydew melon mixed with strawberries and some whipped cream. You've got vanilla in the base. This one has great longevity and projection too. And It's kind of, I would say this is an adult gourmand, but it gives nostalgic vibes because of that strawberry cream note. So if you've been looking for a strawberry fragrance that's whipped and creamy but has more adult vibes, I would definitely check out Chantilly. This one is so delicious and it just makes me feel really cozy whenever I wear it. Next up is Lait de Biscuit, but I also wanted to mention Lait de Chocolat because Chabaud are really great at making gourmand fragrances. They have a really good collection and I would highly recommend checking them out if you're looking for a gourmand. But I think I'm going to touch on the Biscuit one first because to me, this is quite simple, but it smells like buttery biscuits. This makes a great layering scent. It actually layers great with more thick vanilla fragrances such as Bianco Latte. You could even layer this with Kayali's Vanilla 28. But if you're looking for a kind of biscuity vibe, not quite shortbread biscuit, it's more of a hard, crumbly, buttery biscuit with a dusting of sugar on the top. That is what I get from it. Then I would recommend checking out Lait de Biscuit, but also the chocolate fragrance. Now this to me smells more like powdered chocolate, almost like the powdered chocolate you put on top of a cappuccino. It's not necessarily like a milky, decadent actual piece of chocolate. It smells powdered, if that makes any sense. So this is another one that I would recommend you check out, especially if you like chocolate fragrances. Next up is Le Gourmand by Jousset. Now this is another chocolate fragrance and I will stick on this one a little bit longer than the previous fragrance, and sorry I am speeding through these recommendations, but this is my favorite chocolate fragrance in my collection. To me, this smells like Nutella. So this is a hazelnut and chocolate gourmand fragrance that smells quite thick and dense. It's so delicious. It also has a powdery vibe to it, but it's making me so hungry. This is the most gourmand chocolate fragrance in my collection, and borderline that and Mirage Gourmand, the fragrance I spoke about first. These are the two most realistic gourmands in my collection. This is a thick hazelnut chocolate spread, maybe with a biscuit. This one is so delicious. I haven't worn this in a few months and I've forgotten how good this one was. This is really ultra gourmand. You are going to smell edible if you wear this one. So you have to like it sweet, you have to like it edible. But if you are in the mood for a hazelnut chocolate spread type of fragrance, then I would definitely check this one out. So I have two recommendations from Kayali. Now, there are quite a lot of gourmand fragrances within the collection, but these are the two most gourmand to me at least. First up is Yum Pistachio Gelato. Now, I think people will have differing opinions on this fragrance. Some people get that gelato creamy vibe and some people get more of a fresh shower cream or something like that vibe, which I don't, so I can't explain that. This to me smells like a creamy pistachio gelato. I think this one is really, really good. It has got better over time. It is definitely macerated. You are getting that kind of marshmallowy vibe. You're getting the nutty vibe. It's creamy without being too dense. I am on team love it for this fragrance. So let me know if you are team love it or team not so keen. And then also the newer release, which is Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar. Now this one is super sweet, borderline a little bit too sweet for me, but I do find this whole composition really, really addictive. And this smells like, as the name would suggest, vanilla candy, but it also has this kind of bubblegum vibe about it, and then quite a strong pear note. It does smell like candy. It does smell ultra realistic in my opinion, but it is really sweet. You have to be in the mood for this one. I want to wear this with Mirage Gourmand. I just fancy it. It went a little bit in my face. Next up, I have two fragrances from Theodoros Kalotinis, and there are so many gourmand fragrances in the collection, but these are the two that stand out the most to me personally. I think there are some other fragrances that I own, like Lemon Tart and Pear Gelato, and they are ultra gourmand, but to me, They do have a synthetic undertone, and of course all fragrances have synthetics in them, but there is an undertone that makes them not as ultra realistic to me. Whilst they do smell edible, they smell more like, oh, how do I describe it? Like flavorings, or as my husband would describe, more like vape juice. Anyway, the two that I love the most are Creme Brulee. This smells like a coconut cookie to me. It's a little bit waxy, so it has kind of like a waxy coconut note, but it does smell like coconut cookies, and I am absolutely here for this one. Such a great new fragrance from the house. And the other fragrance that I really, really love is Coffee Addict. Now this to me smells like a tiramisu. So think kind of creamy coffee and whipped cream. That is the vibe I get from this. Or it could be a latte with whipped cream on the top. It's a really creamy coffee fragrance that has that kind of dark coffee note. But yeah, I really, really enjoy this one. It smells pretty realistic to me, and I would class it as an ultra gourmand. So those were all of the fragrances that I wanted to recommend in today's video. I feel bad not for going into more detail on these, but if you do want more detailed reviews, please do let me know. I never quite know what to do. Some of you like detailed reviews and some of you just want recommendations. So let me know what you prefer down in the comments below, and I will keep it in mind for future videos. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. Hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much and goodbye.